If I had to tell this girl, I don't know what age, what do you think? 16, 15, 20? How old is she? I would tell her different things at different ages. But the girl at all ages, I would say, if you had to choose to be only one thing for the rest of your life, choose authenticity. You cannot go through life trying to make everyone happy, trying to be who other people expect you to be, trying to fill this role that other people expect you to fill, trying to fulfill other people's ambitions. And yes, you are weird. Yes, you are different. Yes, you are creative and a little off, and you are just an octopus in a field of gazelles. But there are other octopuses around, and they are gonna love you. You cannot pretend to be something that you're not, because it's gonna end up hurting you and everyone else. And it did for many years, until I was like, nope, not gonna do that anymore. I always tell people they should masturbate. By God, do it. I mean, if you don't, then how? If you don't know what you like, how are you supposed to communicate to what you like? It's much more than just sex. I train, I lift weights, because I enjoy it. I enjoy just putting something in my ear, some loud music, and just lifting the shit out of some weights, because it connects me with my body and it frees me from my head. There's so many things that you can do that's not about sex, but just about connecting. Do yoga, get a massage, just in any way you can connect with your body, and have non-sexual intimate relationships. Intimacy, physical intimacy, doesn't have to lead to sex, but we need it much more than we know we do.
Hello to everyone. Today's topics that we are going to explore would be about sexuality, connection, emotional intimacy, and self-awareness, in order to understand a little bit more how to express and heal our sexual selves in a modern world. Today, I'm welcoming Barbara Muschinsky, known for her honest and courageous way of exploring desire, vulnerability, and connection. Barbara, you help people find wholeness, not by avoiding discomfort, but by walking through it.
Yes.
I'm thrilled to have you here. So let's dive in. Welcome.
Such an accurate description of what I do, and it's a real compliment. So thank you. And thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah, of course. You are very welcome. I'm happy to have you here, really. So I would like to start with one important question. From a hormonal and biological point of view, what is really happening in the body when we experience like sex?
A lot of dopamine and a lot of serotonin. I usually say every day we should have our dose. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. These are the happy hormones, right? A lot of them are in play when we have sex, but that also depends very much on the relationship that we have with the person that we have sex with. Because if it's just a casual fling, there's still a lot of dopamine, but there's not a lot of oxytocin. And especially for men, there's not necessarily a lot of oxytocin, but there is, unfortunately, for women, as if nature is very smart. Because if we turn out that we are pregnant as a result of this sex, we should emotionally bond and feel a connection with the person that we had a baby with. So we're wired to produce much more oxytocin during sex than men are. If men have a lot of emotions, a lot of love, a lot of care for the person that they're having sex with, yes, then they do produce oxytocin as well.
So what is the difference between a man and a woman while they're having sex?
I think there's a lot of similarities, but I do think not just hormonally, but also sociologically, maybe women are wired much more to put a lot of meaning and a lot of emotion into sex, but not necessarily. And I know a lot of women who absolutely enjoy casual sex as they should. And this is no way in judgment or, putting people into boxes.
Yeah, sure.
But sociologically, I think we are a bit more wired to do the emotional attachment and maybe understand the physical intimacy as emotional intimacy, and the looking into each other's eyes and having the touch and the sensuality. We interpret that as emotional connection. I think, well, I certainly have done and still do that, but I am also a person that craves a lot of depth, a lot of authenticity, and a lot of connection and substance in any relationship. So, of course, I would.
And
But
what is the difference between love and sex?
women need a lot of more safety when we have sex with somebody because it's a very vulnerable situation. Men are often asked, "What are you most afraid of?" And they say, "Being a laughing stock, that a woman laughs at me." And you ask women the same question, "What are you afraid of?" And the woman says, "That he's going to kill me."
Oh, really?
Right, yeah.
Wow, that's a new one.
No, but I know it's a very heavy subject, but
Yeah, it is.
it is dangerous for women to have sex with men, and it's very dangerous for women to have casual sex with men, yeah? So I think the emotional bonding is also a kind of way of knowing this person has my best interest at heart. This person is safe for me. Whereas men are a lot more safe going home with another man and having sex
Definitely.
and just going, okay, that was
Yeah,
nice. Just leave it at that. Whereas women, we can risk being killed and end up in a freezer in 17 parts, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
and men is the leading cause of death for women. So yes, we should enjoy it and experience this freedom, but we also have to have a presence of mind. Is this person safe? Is this person good to me? Is this person going to protect me? Is this person someone who's harmful potentially? So yes, we do, for survival reasons, have to be much more sensible and present and not just follow our instincts. The difference between love and sex, it's such a, I think sex can be a natural result of love. It ideally, it's something we do with the person that we love. It's also, sex is for me the way adults play. Let's just call it what it is. Do you
Yeah.
remember when you were a child and you were sitting and you were playing with your best friend and you would go, "Oh, and then you would say that you did this and you come in and you do that," and then we improvise and we laugh and we have fun and we just try things and we just immerse ourselves in this wonderful little bubble.
Adventure.
We go on an adventure together and we go into this little bubble together and we laugh and we have fun and we improvise. That's basically what adults do when they have sex. And you can do that and have that kind of great, wonderful, fun intimacy with a friend that you're not necessarily in love with, but someone that you just enjoy playing with.
So, do you think, I'm curious, do you think that women are more creative while they're having sex than men, or vice versa?
Not necessarily.
Mm,
I think
okay.
it's very much person dependent. I've heard of men or women who are very creative, and the other way around, I've heard of both men and women who were very set in their ways and very stringent about what they liked and what they didn't like and wasn't into experimenting that much. So I don't think there's much difference. Although I do meet a lot of creative women, and sometimes I wonder, is that creative streak sometimes translates into how they have sex? Not that I necessarily ask them,
Yeah.
but I do wonder.
Yeah.
Whereas I think love is not just a feeling, but something that you show up and do consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this to my clients all the time. You can feel love for someone and still not treat them in a loving way. That's not love. right? I
Or
can't
not
say
necessarily having sex with, but still feeling love towards that person.
absolutely, but I don't know if you have kids. I do.
No, I don't.
Like, I remember when my son was little and he was a colicky baby, so he screamed for like 6, 8 hours a day, and I felt absolutely tortured, and I wanted to throw him out the window with a giant slingshot. I was like, ugh, can't. I mean, I was so much in distress, and I don't use distress lightly. I was sleep deprived, I was going
Mhm.
crazy, and I just screamed into a pillow. Did I feel love? No. Not all the time. Most of the time I was just going completely batshit mad. But what do? My actions, what do they tell you? I wake up, I give him his little dummy, I stroke his hair, I sing a song, I give him a bottle, I put on his blanket, I rock him, I hold him close to my heart. Love is something that we consistently do. I love my husband. We've been together for 20 years. Do I feel love all the time? No.
How do you still could still integrate sex after 20 years, for example? How can we do that in a healthy way, though, not risking to somehow or some extent losing ourselves?
Reason that I love him so much is that I try to consistently love him every day. I try to talk so lovingly about
So
him.
it's a choice. Is a choice.
Lovingly. It's such a choice. And that
Mm-hmm.
makes the feeling of love come back over and over and over again.
That's so lovely.
And I fall in love with him all the time.
Oh my God,
It's,
this is so
it's
wonderful.
he's I can just sometimes just look at him and go, oh my God, I'm married to him. I'm so lucky. I'm just, but that is a practice. And I think, to answer your question, I think sex is as well. I know some people cooperated like every Wednesday and Saturday we have to. I think that sort of takes
Yeah,
away the spontaneous fun of it.
definitely.
But and so I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but I do think it's a good idea to make it a priority and have it in the forefront of your mind that sex is an important way of connecting. It's not the only way of connecting, but it's definitely some of the glue that holds our relationship together. And if we don't prioritize it as often as we can and we have the energy, then it's like not watering a plant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course we should play with our partners. And if you have fantasies you want to play out, do it with your partner. Stay open and playing. Know that if you're with someone for 10, 15, 20 years, it's very easy to fall into a routine and just go, oh yeah, we just do the same 3 positions, and then we come and then we go down and make coffee, and then we, or we fall asleep, whatever it is.
Mm.
Your partner is also your playing partner. Tell them things that you've tried, tell them things that you want to do, what you're thinking about, what you're fantasizing about. Stay joyful and goofy and silly. And you know what? If you fall off the bed, if you get an elbow in the head, who cares? I mean, it's not that serious. Sex is not that serious. It's play, right?
Yes.
And as far as wanting more or being someone else, or I hear that all the time when people have affairs, extramarital affairs. Is not.
Why do you think they have affairs, people in general? Because might be men or women as well. I mean, yeah.
I think they're not looking for someone else. They're looking to be someone else.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because in every relationship, you're with a different person. You have a different energy, different feeling. You rediscover yourself in new relationships, right? And I think this feeling of, if you don't hold your relationship vibrant, then you can sort of become stale and not grow with your partner. I have this motto, which is either you grow together or you grow apart, period. And I
That's
believe
nice.
that with my whole heart, I believe this. It's not just in sex, but emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, you need to grow with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that also means having different interests, having different friends, having different things to do so that you can come back to your partner with something. You know what I experienced today? You know what happened to me? Oh, I learned this most interesting thing that I'm just dying to tell you. Married couples that do everything together. You know what? I was in the supermarket and I bought toilet paper. I know, darling, I was right there next to you. That just becomes so boring and sort of rotten from the inside because there's no new life, there's no new oxygen, and you need to have oxygen into your marriage. And I sometimes think that a good marriage lives or dies with how good friend group you have, how good connections you have, good colleagues, good family, good everything
Point.
else. That also fills the oxygen of that room because you cannot put it on one person to fulfill you in every single way. It's just not possible.
Oh.
And well, I'm polyamorous, so obviously I'm not monogamous. And for me, it's so fulfilling to have a different relationship with a different person that has nothing to do with my partner. It's a whole different friendship, it's a whole different dynamic. And that fills me up and makes me happy because I don't put it on my partner. First of all, I don't own him. I don't own his body. I don't
Oh
own
my
all of
God.
his love.
Thank you for
I
telling
don't
the
own
truth.
his sexuality. He doesn't own mine. And there's no point in comparing my relationships because every relationship is different because it's with a different person. And I don't hold him responsible for my entire happiness and for me being fulfilled. That's my job.
Of course, we are responsible. You are responsible also about what you think, how you're thinking,
Yeah.
about how you maintain your energy really high. I'm not saying every day because we are human, so it might collapse sometimes in that such a way that you are not might feeling 100% so high vibes, but still you are responsible about how you react. Okay, so you are responsible about that as well. Not only what you're doing, but how do you react towards something or someone. So this is what is for me being really and truly responsible.
Yeah. I think it was Viktor Frankl who said the last human right that something nobody can ever take away from you is how you respond to a situation, how you choose to take it, how your attitude is and how you feel about it. And no one can ever take that away from you. And he was talking about people who were in concentration camps. And he could see that the people who not only survived, but thrived and lived afterwards chose to have an attitude of, I want to be a survivor. I want to stay kind. I want to go around to the barracks and share my food or comfort people who were sad or get a hobby by polishing little stones or whatever they choose to do, make it meaningful and have an attitude about it that this is going to be good. It's going to end well for me. I'm going to be okay. And no matter how dire a situation we are in, we can choose how to respond to it, which is such a strong position. And I know it's not always possible and we're overwhelmed and we're human. And I'm not saying we shouldn't ever be sad or miserable or feel hopeless about a situation, but the position that I can somehow pull the strength from inside of me where I choose my attitude to life, which is
Exactly.
the ultimate power position to have.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
choose who I am and how I respond.
Oh,
Integrity,
yeah, I
right?
totally, exactly. Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Which is one of my
Being
favorite
true to
words.
yourself,
Yeah.
it's so fascinating. Just from one point of view, being staying curious and just try and be open willingly to understand and more about who you really are, and also as you just said earlier, try to understand and be curious about your partner as well, because we
Mhm.
all changing like
Yeah.
constantly, and something new there has to be. Very
Isn't that
often it's
isn't that what
impossible.
isn't that what makes life interesting though?
Yeah,
That
that's
we're
the
never
thing.
done figuring out who we are. And we can still have such a strong sense of self and
Yeah,
still never be done.
yeah.
It sounds like
Cliche.
it sounds like it shouldn't be possible to have a really strong sense of self and just go, I am not done exploring. I'm not even halfway through figuring out who I am. But it's such a liberating way of living.
You have told me earlier something about monogamy. I'm very curious to hear from you. Do you believe or think that monogamy is within our coaching DNA as such as humans?
Do I think monogamy is a part of our biology? Absolutely not.
Hmm.
I it's such a funny question because I'm like,
Yeah.
you know how many people who cheat?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that I don't think monogamy is a beautiful, completely valid choice. I think it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and I love the people who just say, I just want to commit to one person. I just want to give that one person my romantic love. Of course, love is a lot of different things. We also love our parents and our siblings and our children.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the romantic love, I just want to dedicate it to someone. And exclusivity is very important to me. I think that is great. I have no qualms at all with
Mm-hmm.
monogamy. I think it's absolutely a valid choice. Do I think we're naturally monogamous as species? No, I don't. And I do know that like swans or cranes or whatever are supposedly monogamous, but biologists have figured out that they're actually just socially monogamous. They're not sexually monogamous.
Okay. I
So,
didn't know that.
it's very hard to find any monogamous species anywhere. I think like maybe like a sea slug or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I heard about that as well. Yeah. True. Yeah.
Um, but also the term monogamy has changed over time. It used to mean
Yeah.
one person for life, and now it
Mm-hmm.
means one person at a time. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
I
it
agree.
means I have officially one person, and then I have another person that I don't tell anyone about, but I
Yes.
still consider myself monogamous. And
That's so crazy. This is the modern life. That's why we are here
yeah,
today to talk about the modern life.
yeah,
And
I there is polyamory is under the umbrella of ethical non-monogamy, whereas cheating obviously is monogamy is not necessarily natural for species. We say that we want exclusivity, but we also want novelty and excitement and experimental, trying to be different people with different people. And as I said, monogamy used to mean one person for life. And then it meant one person at a time. And sometimes it means one person officially and then one person on the side. And I'm still telling people that I'm monogamous, but I'm really not. And polyamory is under the umbrella of ethical non monogamy, whereas cheating obviously is not ethical non monogamy. I think both choices, ethical non monogamy or monogamy, is valid. But if you want to be monogamous, make sure that you can be really monogamous and have integrity about it. And talk to your partner about, what do you think cheating is? Do you think it's cheating if I have an emotional affair, if I have feelings for someone? Do you think it's cheating if I watch porn? Do you think it's cheating if I kiss someone at the Christmas party? Monogamous people should have much more elaborate, in-depth conversations with their partners about what monogamy really means, and then be really
Yes.
serious and filled with integrity about it. Because as a non-monogamous person, I take the ethics part very seriously. In fact, I wrote a book recently, a beginner's guide in polyamory and ethical non-monogamy, and I have a whole chapter about this is about consent. It is about communication. It is about honesty. It's about being transparent. It's about talking about boundaries all the time and renegotiating boundaries all the time. What works for you? How can we do this where we're both happy? What can I do to make you feel loved and seen and fulfilled in this relationship? But exclusivity is not one of them.
Mm.
I can still be a good partner and support you in everything and ask how your day was every day and support your dreams, and we can have great time together. But exclusivity is not the only way of being a loving good partner. One of the things that I describe in my book is relationship anarchy. Relationship anarchy is also under the umbrella of ethical non-monogamy. It is just the refusal to put labels on anything. And I very much subscribe to that idea. I do think we have functions, but not necessarily should have titles.
Yes, I agree.
I do have functions with my husband. I am married to him. We have a child, we have economy, we have a home, we have things that we have to do to get our lives running. But that are functions, and that doesn't. I could just be married to him, live apart, and never see him again, and he would still technically be my husband. It's not the title that's important, it's the function. And I think all relationships are so unique that why put a label on it when it doesn't remotely describe what we are? I have a friend of mine, and I see her almost like a platonic life partner. She's more than a friend to me. It's not romantic, it's not sexual, but she's so close to me and more feels like a life partner than a friend, and we share so much, and it's so important. Or I have another friend, I've known her for 30 years. Does friend just cover our whole 30-year history? Of course it doesn't. I have someone who is one of my best friends, but we also sometimes have a very intimate relationship, and it's great, it's wonderful, and I love this person with all of my heart. Does friend cover that? It's such a generic word. Why label it? Why give it a name where it doesn't make any sense anyway? And why shouldn't we treat our lovers as our friends? And why shouldn't we treat our friends as our lovers? Why shouldn't I go on a date with my best friend?
That's so funny.
Why? I mean, of course I would. I would go, oh my God, we have to go to the spa. We have to go out dining. Then we go for a walk. Isn't that a date? Yes, it is. And friends and, romantic relationships are so much fulfilling if we're friends as well.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, what does it mean anyway?
Yeah, I have another question. It's kind of also related to this matter. What exactly is an orgasm, and why do so many people struggle still to reach it naturally? How do you keep having orgasm with your main partner, for example?
I think it's complex without any one answer to it, because women's pleasure is a fairly new thing on the table. I think women could have and hopefully have had orgasms for millennia or thousands of years, hopefully. But in our society, we haven't necessarily prioritized women's pleasure.
Mm.
And so only with the sexual revolution in the 60s have you really had women who demanded to be sexually satisfied. And I think we also have a society that's very patriarchal, and men have just been expected to make the money and protect the women, and satisfying their wife was not in the curriculum. And I still think a lot of men feel very insecure about this. Do I do this properly? How do I do this? And also, I don't want to do something that I feel insecure about and that I'm not necessarily good at. So maybe they pull back a little from trying to satisfy their wives and girlfriends because they don't necessarily feel confident on how to do it. And it's still a really sore subject. And it takes a lot of bravery to say,
Yeah,
show
definitely.
me how I do this, show me how I satisfy you, tell me what I'm doing wrong, what can I do better, which demands a certain emotional vulnerability that I think some
Exactly.
men don't necessarily have. And I think a lot of women still feel very bashful and sort of
Mhm.
shy and insecure about their own pleasure and their orgasms, and they feel, oh my god, I can't bring this up, this is just too shameful, it is too scary a subject to bring up, I can't talk about my vagina, I can't talk about my vulva, I can't talk about my clitoris, of what I enjoy and what I don't. So we just have this double taboo, right? It goes both ways.
Mhm.
I can't ask how to do this and I can't tell him how to do it. Luckily for us, there is a whole horde of men whose entire pleasure derives from pleasuring women. I think that is a wonderful evolution of this. Is some men, their biggest turn on is turning on women. Like, I feel like such a big man if I can give her an orgasm, and the more orgasms I can give her, the better. And that is like their whole kink, which I think is great. I mean, rock on, guys. But for many, and especially if it's religious, communities and
Yeah.
people who haven't had that much sex ed, this can be a really difficult subject to bring up, even with a spouse. I have had some clients from India, for example, and they were told, we don't talk about sex, we don't talk about pleasure, we don't talk about anything sexual or intimate, and if you are a good girl, you never talk about it or think about it at all. And then the second they're married, she says to me, then I'm supposed to be this sexual love kitten and I'm supposed to know what to do. How am I supposed to know that? I'm like, good God, I don't know. What a terrible dilemma to be in, right? That I'm supposed to be good at something I shouldn't know anything about. And it's such an infantilization of women.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be little girls and
Yeah.
pure and not know anything about sex, but we're still supposed to know everything
Mhm.
by
So
osmosis.
regarding this, I have another question. I'm really curious. So how can we begin to uncover and understand our personal sexuality then?
I think we need to be fearless.
Okay.
And I think we also need to say discovering sexuality may not be the right word per se. It's more like continuously exploring our sexuality
Mm-hmm.
because it's ever changing.
Mm.
There's a biology factor. Of course, we are who we are and we can be bi or straight or gay or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot to do with biology and that's just who we are. But then there's the sociological aspect of it and the psychological aspect, because if you are latently gay but you live in a very strict religious country and you never ever explore yourself as a gay person, how are you supposed to identify as gay? You can't, right? And
Yeah.
we only are what we identify ourselves as. So maybe latently gay, yes, but are we gay? Yes, no, I don't know. It's it's complex, and sexuality
Yes.
is and always has been complex. It is a combination of who we are biologically, psychologically, and what we are allowed to also socially do and explore, and to what degree we have the freedom to explore these things. Do we just get married at 16 and are expected to stay with the same boring partner? Or or do we have the freedom to explore and try new things and try different things with different people?
So, what do you think are the biggest emotional blocks you see personally when people try to build intimacy?
Shame.
That's a good one.
I think
For women more
it,
than men, or vice versa?
um oh man, men have a harder time than women.
Really?
Yeah. I we have such a difficult relationship with intimacy because intimacy cannot exist outside the realm of vulnerability. We have to be vulnerable to be intimate because intimacy
I
is
agree.
exactly that. I show you who I am. I am open. I am transparent. I not only am I honest about who I am also, I give you permission, not permission. I risk that you might hurt me. I
Mm.
tell you the things that are difficult for me or that are scary for me. And when I tell you these things that are scary, I know that you can use them against me, but I trust that you don't.
Mm.
And vulnerability is, oof, if you ever get the chance to read Brené Brown's books about Atlas of the Heart and the different kinds of like emotions and intimacy, and oh, she's so good. I love her.
Mhm.
But she studied intimacy for many years, and men especially have been taught not to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
Have been
exactly.
taught they have been taught in many ways not to explore their own feelings or even identify what am I feeling
Yeah.
right now and how do I be vulnerable and how do I open up to
Yeah.
someone completely. We have a deeply patriarchal society where men at all costs have to be stoic and strong and unemotional. But how are they supposed to have intimacy if they can't be vulnerable without feeling shame,
I
without
don't think they know
fear?
that this
No, I
part,
don't
to be
think.
honest. Still.
In, and intimacy is emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy, experiential, like go to a concert, go out on a date, or travel. You can have non-sexual physical intimacy, like holding hands or curling up on the couch. This whole beautiful world of different kinds of intimacies to explore, but the
Mm.
only kind of intimacy that men are taught are legitimate for them is the sexual intimacy.
Mm. Do you think there is a link between childhood trauma and sex? Because I do believe that trauma in general is such a powerful, powerful inner exploration, and that never ends to be explored by us, of course. And I do believe that most of the time, to make it short, that those trauma might actually be incorporated or related to your personal sex life in some degrees.
So glad you asked that. I am
Mhm.
so happy because
Mhm.
this is what I do. I talk to
That's you
people.
are here today.
This is actually my whole job is to talk to people of how their trauma and you know emotional difficulties, their mental health, their addictions affect their intimate life, not just their sexuality, but their whole intimate life. But yes, of course, I always say everything is about sex and nothing is about sex.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have trauma, it's going to bleed into your sex life. It can be because you are a people pleaser. It can be that simple, that you have grown up in a family where you were taught to please the family system and always be pleasant and never say no and don't have boundaries, and everybody else's feelings are more important because mommy has a depression and daddy has a drinking problem, and I just need to fix everything and be happy and sunshiny and make sure everyone is okay. As an adult, you start feeling like, okay, I have to be something for somebody if I am to be loved, but I'm not to set boundaries. I don't have the needs of my own. I certainly don't say my needs out loud. And that person can end up having sex and attracting very unhealthy, narcissistic, psychopathic, or addicted partners who sort of crosses their boundaries or somehow violates their sexuality without meaning to, without necessarily wanting to cross their boundaries, but how they're supposed to know when this person never says no. And then they end up with a trauma through nobody's fault, really, right?
Not intentionally, at least.
Not intentionally. But the impact, there's a difference between intention and impact. And you can still not intend for something to happen and it still will. So it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual assault or rape or something terrible that affects. It can just be a very unhealthy family dynamic that causes me to have trauma because I don't know how to set boundaries. And I have met some really cruel people who exploited the fact that I don't have boundaries, and I run into psychopaths and narcissists, yeah? Which definitely would create trauma. But then there's the healthy part of it, which is there's a thing called conscious kink.
Never heard about it.
Yeah,
Ooh, I'm interested.
This is so interesting. I find that a lot of people who have trauma also have kinks, and if they can do that in a healthy way, incorporate what initially was the trauma into their sexuality, can actually use your sexuality, to heal your trauma. I saw this girl in this documentary, and she came from a very strict Catholic upbringing, and she definitely had religious trauma. Absolutely. There was very, very strict religious and very harsh and very punishing and all of that. She used to show up at kink events in her little Catholic schoolgirl uniforms that she had when she was 12, right? And she would just be so gosh damn sexy, and she would explore her sexuality with her little cap. And I was like, that is a genius thing to do. I've met a very interesting man once who had small penis humiliation kink. And I was so curious, like, what is that? Tell me about this, because this is so interesting to me. And he said, I love being humiliated and told that I have a small penis and that, I can't satisfy women. And I'm like, why? Why is this arousing to you? And you know what he said? It liberates me of all this macho mentality.
Oh my goodness. Again, we are talking about society and what does society do to us. So,
it releases me of all that toxic masculinity and who has the biggest dick, and he loves it. So I'm like, that is so interesting. That is such a... And he's aware of it all the time. Of course, it's something that he does all the time. It's something that you do when you have sex and when it's agreed upon. But you can sort of reenact in some way your trauma in a healthy way to heal what initially was a wound, becomes something very healthy and good and real. I think it is very important to go to a mental health professional.
Okay.
first. I think before you dive into exploring your kinks, and heal your trauma, you need to have a process where you actually heal your trauma before you start building something. I can see people who are in the BDSM community, people who are very new in polyamory, they can sort of go into a frenzy where they have to explore everything, and they want to do so much in such a short time because they have this euphoria that, oh, I finally discovered what I want to do and who I am and my sexuality. And they can end up finding partners who they again don't set boundaries with, that they don't beforehand talk about, what do I like, what are my boundaries, what am I not into, and they're not risk aware. Risk awareness is a very big thing in the BDSM environment. You have to be risk aware. Yeah. Um, and I talk to a lot of these people who are polyamorous, who just figure out, oh, I'm polyamorous, so I have to have as many sex partners as possible, which is not necessarily healthy for yourself or for all the people that you suddenly have love or romantic or sexual relationships with, because you can make a lot of rampage in people's lives if you're not conscious and know what you're doing.
So you also often use those physical or visual tools in your sessions, as far as I know. Yeah. How can those things actually can help people to reconnect themselves into towards their sexual energy? I see it them as a tool towards satisfaction, personal satisfaction, and give satisfaction to my partner as well. So how can actually people might use those as a way of reconnect to their selves or to their partners?
I think you can play, again, this is
Mm-hmm.
how we play. We can play with toys or without toys.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily, it doesn't mean that you can't play without toys. You absolutely can.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's part of reenacting whatever your fantasies. It's going outside the box more than you would be able to, and play with different scenarios or feelings than you would if you didn't have toys. For example, a lot of people, men, have fantasies about pegging or being penetrated, and not necessarily by a man, but they want that with a female partner. And that's not just getting something up your anus, it's more like we are playing with power. Yeah. We
Yeah.
are switching not just who's getting what up what hole, but
Mm-hmm.
the whole power dynamic is switching when somebody is suddenly being penetrated and the other is not. And it used to be the other way around. It's playing with roles, it's playing with vulnerability and surrender, and it's much deeper than just getting something up your ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or playing with ropes or handcuffs, and it's not about being restricted, it's about letting myself surrender. And a lot of women, especially, I think, women who have a lot of responsibility, at work, and they have a lot of duties, and they have a whole to-do list in their head, and I have to pick up the kids, and I have to do this at work, and I have to send that email, and I have to, and all their lives is having lists and having responsibilities and being the boss. Yeah. And then having a sexual scenario where I don't have to think at all, because the other person has complete control, and I can switch off my brain completely. It's much, much more than being restricted, and much more about this is a tool for me to let go and switch off my head and surrender. So, yes, these are toys, but these are also tools of exploration, of roles, of dynamics, of feelings, of even states of mind. And they're important.
Yeah. So, what is one simple practice someone can do today to feel more connected to their own body and emotions?
I think, so many people are so in their head. They're just
I agree.
from the neck up. And it doesn't necessarily begin with sex. I always tell people they should masturbate. By God, do it. I mean, if you don't, then how? If you don't know what you like, how are you supposed to communicate to
Exactly.
what you like?
Exactly.
It's much more than just sex. I train. I lift weights because I enjoy it. I enjoy just putting something in my ear, some loud music, and just lifting the shits out of some weights because it connects me with my body and it frees me from my head. I like running. I like turning on music in the morning and dancing like nobody's watching. Doing a creative process, anything that is, just fun and creative. Rather I dress like one day like I'm a Disney princess, and the other day like I'm a Italian mobster, and the next day I am a Barbie, and the next day I am like such a boss bitch, and like it's for me just dressing my body in a way that I think is fun and creative and explorative connects me with my body.
Definitely.
There's so many things that you can do that's not about sex, but just about connecting. Do yoga, get a massage, just in any way you can connect with your body and have non-sexual intimate relationships.
Oof, that's
Like
a good one.
my girlfriends, which are non-romantic, non-sexual girlfriends, we often sit and we massage each other's hands. Just go, come here, and now just massage each other's hands, or just stroke the hair. Or I have a friend who says, "Can I come over and cuddle?" And I'm like, "Yes, darling." And we just lie on the sofa and we cuddle and we like stroke each other's like bodies and hair, and it's so nice having that
Definitely.
intimacy. Physical intimacy doesn't have to lead to sex, but we need it much more than we know we do.
Yeah. Barbara, I have one last question that I usually ask to all my guests. I call it a note to your past self ritual. If you could go back and sit down with your younger self, the version of you just, starting this journey, for example, as a sexologist or therapist, what would you tell her?
If I had to tell this girl, I don't know what age, what do you think? 16, 15, 20? How old is she? I would tell her different things at different ages. But the girl at all ages, I would say, if you had to choose to be only one thing for the rest of your life, choose authenticity. You cannot go through life trying to make everyone happy, trying to be who other people expect you to be, trying to fill this role that other people expect you to fill, trying to fulfill other people's ambitions. Yes, you are weird. Yes, you are different. Yes, you are creative and a little off, and you are just an octopus in a field of gazelles. But there are other octopuses around. and they are gonna love you. You cannot pretend to be something that you're not, because it's gonna end up hurting you and everyone else. And it did for many years, until I was like, nope, not gonna do that anymore.
No more.
Yeah, I'm a recovering people pleaser for sure.
Oh my Barbara, thank you so very much. I'm really happy to
Yes, me
have
too.
you here. So today, I mean, it meant so much for me having you and have all the information and experience that you have and share with us and with my listeners. I mean, I'm really fascinated about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And thank you so very much. I really appreciate the fact that you were willingly share it with us. And thank you, really.
Thank you so much. This was so wonderful. I could talk to you all day. This felt such an easy flow. I could do this all day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to this inspiring conversation with Barbara Muschinsky. If you would like to connect with Barbara or learn more about her work, you will find all the links in the episode description or at harewood.dk, where she offers a holistic approach to couple therapy and sexology, or contact her directly at barbara@harewood.dk. And if you enjoyed the today's talk, don't forget to follow Rewire to Rise on YouTube and Spotify so you won't miss the next episode. Until next time, stay sharp.